I know exactly what your
funny. They're
situation
celebrating
is,
a corporate tax rate going down to 15%. Like, it impacts a single one of these people, dude. Like, yeah, this guy, the Jesus is my savior guy. He's like, well, you know, I happen to be a shareholder of ExxonMobil. This is gonna pay dividends for us.
Mike Rogers.
He's going to be like, what's your answer to the automotive industry's problems? Nuclear war.
Jobs to China, India, Mexico, and it's become more difficult to compete. Manufacturers like us, we are some of the largest users of energy, and under Harris and Biden, the energy costs have tripled. So my question is, what will you do to get energy back down so us U.S. manufacturers can compete and bring it back to the jobs here?
Yeah, so it's a great question. A lot of people have the same question because it's affecting their companies. I just left one. A man from the Netherlands, we made a speech, a wonderful guy, and he said the problem was he opened up because of me. He opened in 2017, and he had 3 great years, and now with them, he's not doing well. What we're doing is, I said about the energy as to what we do and how we do it. But China's coming in, and you said Mexico. Mexico's a big threat now. Mexico's taking a lot of your business, and we're not going to let that happen. We need a smart series of tariffs and taxes.
Yeah, we're going to Mexico.
Very simple business. You know, China won't take cars from outside of China. They only take them if you build in China. You have to build your factory. So if I'm making a car and I think I'm going to sell it into China, they have a massive over 100%.
Good thing Trump didn't sign like a new version of NAFTA when he was president.
Tariff, I'm going to have to build my factory in China. And they encourage it, they help it. We're going to be doing the same thing, but we're going to do it even better. We're going to bring cars back. We're going to bring, like you say, what are you, auto parts and things like that, right? We're going to bring that all back to this country. It's all coming back. If they had to pay tariffs on what they're doing and what they're selling into our country, they wouldn't be putting your business out of business if that's where you're going. It will never happen, and we're going to do it just the opposite. Plus, we're lowering the tax rate. So I took it from 39% to 21%. These are for companies, and that's why we had the great numbers for jobs. But now what I'm doing is I'm going, and nobody thought that was possible, and I got it approved by Congress, believe it or not. Now we're going to 21, from 21 to 15%, but you have to make your product in the USA. So if you want to take advantage of the low tax rate, you have to make your product. So we'll be down.
Fuck it, lower it to 0. Let's go.
One of the lowest tax rates in the whole world, so it's more than competitive. Companies will come here. But in addition to that, we're going to keep this really terrible competition. I don't mind the word competition, but it's predatory. And we're going to keep this competition out so that you're able to grow your business and grow it well, and you'll make the product and you'll sell it inside our country. And I know exactly what your situation is. People are so funny.
They're celebrating a corporate tax rate going down to 15%. Like, it impacts a single one of these people, dude. Like, yeah, this guy, the Jesus is my savior guy. He's like, well, you know, I happen to be a shareholder of ExxonMobil. This is gonna pay dividends for us.
Mike Rogers as Senator Mike Rogers, and we've got Lisa McClain, Congresswoman yes,
a warrior.
Yes, she is a warrior, and the amazing, incredible Congressman John James.
Hey, John.
1488.
Good.
And they will help us
Hello.
get this done. I appreciate that you talked about tariffs, and I think it's so important that you continue to call out China, and we support you on that, because we don't want China building those plants in Mexico and then running those cars across the border.
Without any tax whatsoever, and putting everybody here in not only danger, it's over. Your union head, I don't know who he is, Sean Fain or something, whoever this guy is.
In Michigan, they're booing him.
He sold you out because he let Biden, who doesn't know what he's doing, I mean, you probably noticed, he let this guy come up with an all-electric mandate. Those cars are all going to be built in China. We want cars built in the USA. It's very simple. And they're going to come in at levels. We'll be having auto manufacturing at levels that we haven't seen in 50 years. We're going to have a lot of companies coming in, and we're going to make it competitive so they can come in and they can thrive, not like this gentleman where they come in and they product. And you know what they do?
Oh, here, this is fun. Kamala Harris.
And folks.
Kamala Harris. 2019, President Trump's border wall is a medieval vanity
And folks,
project.
on the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them. And
you know, it's crazy because she was right back then. And
we know the arguments, right? The White House, and look at that, Kamala Harris looking through the border wall there, down on the southern border. I don't know what specific agency she's with there, probably CBP, Customs and Border Protection. The media that is traveling, we know the argument.
2019, President Trump's border wall is a medieval vanity project. 2024, looks up in awe at that very medieval vanity project. God, this country is so stupid, dude. We are such an ass country. I swear to God. Oh my God, dude.
Madam Vice President, can you share what the agents at the last stop talked about?
yeah, they've got a tough job. And they need, rightly, support to do their job.
They just aren't getting enough support, dude. How is this language in any way, shape, or form different than what Republicans say about cops and Border Patrol? The real issues with Border Patrol is that they're simply not being respected enough. The real issue with the cops is that they're simply not being respected enough. They're not getting enough money, actually. And that's right. We're going to give them more money, and they're going to show these disgusting, barbaric, savage immigrants what's what, you know?
And they work long hours. They're very dedicated. And so I'm here to talk with them about what we can continue to do to support them and to also thank them for the hard work they do.
What about making stricter action?
Yeah, we're going to make them feel good about the hard work that they do. That's the problem. They're just not feeling good right now. They have imposter syndrome. We're going to fix the border by fixing the imposter syndrome.
Like going to go to war again. I think Rick Grinnell is here. Is Rick Grinnell here? I think so. Did a fantastic job. Yeah, they're fighting. I said, fellas, you guys want to fight? You want people in your countries? That's okay. But if you do, I'm going to charge you 200% tariff to do business with the United States, and that's it. They called me back 2 days later, sir, we've made peace. After years, we've made peace. So, you know, it really does. It has a great power to it. There's a great power if you...
Like, what's the calculation here? From the minds of the Democrats, is the calculation that like Americans want to do policies, but they want like a black woman to do it instead of like a white guy? Is that what's going on? You're like, you don't get it. Like Joe Biden was not the right guy. With the right person to do the Hitlerian policies is actually a black woman. This way, it's a diversity W, okay? It looks a lot better on the optics front. Fuck it. Like, you know, abortion. Yeah, who cares, right? Drop that one too. I mean, maybe in a couple of years. Oh my God. It's so sick.
Leave it to anybody, but you had zero estate tax. You had zero death tax, we call it. Sometimes I like the word estate better than death, but a lot of people use the word death. And that was a big thing because you would have a farm and you'd leave it to your children and they have a big tax to pay. They'd go out to the bank, they'd borrow the money, they'd end up losing the farm and living like hell. And part of our tax cuts...
This lady is about to meet the estate tax soon, it seems. Except, just kidding. Of course, none of these people are going to get hit with the estate tax because they don't have like $15 million, okay?
Those taxes, we'll have those tariffs. We're going to make those cars right here and then see them loaded on a Teamster-driven big rig and taken all across the country.
And thank you to the Teamsters. Did you know I got 60% of the vote with the Teamsters? So thank you, Teamsters. That's the first time that happened in a long time.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Teamsters.
Our next question is from Ashley. Whoops, stepped on that water bottle.
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming to Michigan. My name is Ashley, and I work at the Chrysler plant. Like many auto workers, I am deeply concerned about the future of our industry. With many jobs being outsourced as we speak, what actions will you take to ensure that our jobs stay in America
Nuclear
so we can continue
war.
to build the best cars in the world here?
We're going to make sure that at the top of the hour, when there's a 3-minute ad break, you'll have enough disposable income to be able to avoid said ads. They say it's $6. It's going to be free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Use it on the HasanAbi broadcast. HasanAbi. HasanAbi. I call him. What do you have to say to your viewers that doesn't get irony? I don't know. I don't know the irony of what. Is the 3-minute ad break now.
Business away. And I didn't know too much about. All I know is they were taking your car industry away from you. They said it never happened. And lo and behold, somebody said, I remember the event, and then we found out and we had everything. We got the awards, we had everything. It did happen, but I gave a speech which at the time was pretty controversial.
Definitely.
We can't let them take your car business away. It's such an
Thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 little communist, fascist, Marxist to no longer see the ads at the top of the
19, 20 years ago. And I could repeat it now without changing a word. You cannot let foreign countries, and a lot of the times our worst foes are our so-called friends, okay? You know, our friends, the European Union takes tremendous advantage of us. As an example, they give us cars by the millions.
Migrant crime.
We don't have too many Chevrolets in the middle of European cities, okay? European Union is take our farm products for the most part. They don't take a lot. But unlike Kamala, who always complains and doesn't do anything, I keep saying, why don't you do? I saw Marsha the other day. Why didn't she do it 4 years ago almost? And I say that, she's on the border today, trying justify. What a day for the border. She goes to the border today, and they just announced just before she got up to speak that more than 13,000 from jail, solitary confinement people in many cases were released. But I just say, let's go back. So we can't let them take our businesses, and we're not going to let them take our businesses. And you can control that so easily through good policy. Not her kind of policy, by the way. She changed her policy 15 times. No fracking. Oh, I like fracking. Defund the police. She wants to defund the police. Now, oh, I love the police all of a sudden. By the way, when anybody is into defunding the police even for a day during their career, they can no longer serve as president of the United States. So we're not going to let them take our businesses. And really, a lot of that's determined by our taxation policy. When China has to pay all that money, the people that liked me the best were the steel companies because I saved them. They were dumping, China and others, but mostly China was dumping steel in here at levels that nobody had ever seen before, and it was putting the steel companies out of business. I put a 50 and 100% tax on the dumping of steel, and the steel companies thrived. I saved them, and you have to have the steel companies. So we'll do the same thing, and you don't worry about it. Here's what you have to do. I only ask you to do one thing, and then you can sleep beautifully all night long, go to a job you love, and get a lot of money at the end of the week. You know what the thing is? Vote for Trump. If you vote for Trump, everything's going to be taken.
There you go.
Everything is going to be taken.
Vote for him, all the good things will happen.
And
vote for Kamala, all the bad things will happen.
Todd.
It's that simple.
We've got another question over here. Todd is over here, right there. Okay,
Hi.
He's got his microphone. Todd?
Welcome, President Trump. First off, I want to say you and your family are in me and my wife's daily prayers.
Thank you.
May God continue to watch over you.
Thank you very much.
It's just, dude, we are becoming increasingly dumber and more belligerent as time moves on. On the right hand of the spectrum, you have the Republicans that are just basically collectively hallucinating a completely different reality than what is in front of our eyes. And on the liberal side, you have liberals bouldering towards the Republican Party's positions of like only 4 years prior and actively yelling at anyone that even says, hey, this seems kind of up. This seems kind of weird. No, don't you feel like things are getting worse and worse overall? And they're like, oh, I guess you want the QAnon sex offender party to win, you piece of, I bet you're QAnon too. Great stuff overall. certainly, no one should take a deep breath and just like look at the situation with a, I don't know, like a larger snapshot view. You got liberals chanting, build the wall. Okay. Kamala Harris is like, I'm going to be even more ruthless on the border. Good stuff overall from every party involved. We are bouldering towards fascism straight up. Okay. Even if it's not this time, even if Kamala Harris does win, which, you know, I still maintain the position that she most likely will. The next time around, the next election cycle is going to be straight up, you know, not even 100%, 110% versus 100%. Very cool.
He liked was Cadillac, and I love it. I think it's a great car. I think it's right now. It's come a long way too, because it's come through some problems, but it's a very good car. I buy a lot of them for different clubs and things, and it's great. And they're
it's just nice like, do you want gay or do you want like Christoph ashes?
For me, does that make sense?
Okay. Do you want prudish Christian or do you want the gay?
And we'll
version?
take care of your situation. You watch what happens. When I do that, they're going to be better positioned because I see what's happening with the layoffs. But they're going to be making. That's a good. I don't know what you call it. Car in a way.
With
it's a
Vince,
car.
you get both. Yeah.
What would you call that? Pretty much a car.
He's the full
They're
package.
going to be making more than they've ever made in a very short period of time. You have one thing to do. You have to elect a person with business talent and common sense, and this whole thing is going to turn around very quickly. Very quick.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Great question.
Mr. President, they have loved having you here in Warren, Michigan. And I think you've got 5,000 people here and even more outside that have wanted to get in and cheer for you and be here to support you. And they do love you. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
And everybody is going to be working hard and pulling for November 5th. And we've got great questions that have come from the audience tonight.
Good.
And we're just so excited that you took your time to come here to a great all-American city and talk with a whole bunch of auto workers and let them know you are on their side and you're going to make manufacturing great because you believe in them.
Oh yeah, this is so funny. Is like she posted this, by the way, while also she's getting a lot of steps in. I see. Goddamn. Okay, that's a lot of active cardio right there. That's a lot of activity on her Apple Watch. This is additionally insane because this photo was posted at 11:48 a.m., which happened to coincide with the Dahiyah strikes that Israel was engaging in. Here is Ambassador Linda Thomas, who very famously said Palestine is not ready for statehood yet, okay, and voted against it at the behest of the United States at the UNGA. Here's her saying, Mr. President, when you came into office, you told the world that diplomacy would once again be at the center of our foreign policy, and you charged us with taking up the leadership mantle at the UN. I'm so proud that we have done just that. This is like nearing, in a very, very short period of time, George W. Bush levels of disastrous foreign policy for America. It is kind of crazy to think. Like, we have gone to levels worse than the Trump administration in terms of foreign policy. And that assassinated an Iranian top general on Iraqi soil. Okay? If you think, and I mean this like 100%, this last year of the Biden administration in terms of American foreign policy, unironically was more devastating than Trump's foreign policy in terms of America's soft power capabilities being diminished, okay? It's obviously nowhere near as bad as George W. Bush because, you know, there is a layer of hell specifically designed for him and his administration. But it is crazy to me that these guys have deluded themselves. I don't know if they ever talk to like a normal human, like maybe just like listen to your butler or something. I don't know. Just like talk to a single human being that is not a lanyard wearing dick skin who is basically a lizard person wearing human flesh telling you that Things are looking great in the Middle East, okay? Please, please talk to a single human. You are directly at odds with the overwhelming majority of the American population in terms of the ways in which the American population is viewing like America's involvement in global affairs, but you are absolutely at odds with the rest of the planet as well. Obviously, the global South has always considered America to be a ruthless force of evil on the global stage, but now you're even losing majorities in the Western nations, in the Western hemisphere. You're losing Western Europe in terms of your undying loyalty to Israel. It is crazy to me that they have just dropped any pretense that like America being the world police is actually like a necessary evil. They're just like, nah, we're incompetent, we're ruthless, and we're bad, and we're getting dog walked by our attack dog. We're getting dog walked by our attack dog right now, as it is lashing out at anyone that it can in its vicinity with American weapons and unlimited billions of dollars of weapons contracts going to Israel.
I just wanted for a moment to speak about Teresa. We had some time together backstage, and you know, I think that in moments of crisis, such as the fentanyl crisis, there are people who, through their suffering and their pain, rise with courage in such a selfless way to be a voice for others with the anticipation and the hope and the hard work of hoping that their story will be the reason other people don't have that story. And you sharing your story about Jacob and your advocacy on why we have to stop this scourge is so incredibly important. And again, I applaud Teresa, and I know we all do. And our need to stop this issue is one of the reasons that we are all here together today. I also want to thank the extraordinary elected officials who are here. Senator Mark Kelly came with me. He and his extraordinary wife, Gabby Giffords, traveled with me from Washington, D.C. to be here. And Senator Kelly has been talking with me for quite some time about the importance of this visit. And so I thank you in front of all of our friends for your work. Thank you. Attorney General Chris Mays, who just tore up the floor. She is, you know, one of, I'm going to talk a bit about it in a minute, but some of the work that I have done in my career as Attorney General, and watching her do the work that she has done as Attorney General really does emphasize the importance of having the right leader at the right time, in the right place, and that's who she is. Mayor Hewish, I thank you for the warm welcome. We've spent some time together. You've shared with me the needs of your community, and I thank you for your leadership as well. And to all the elected and community leaders here today, thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives to be here this afternoon. Before I begin, I do want to say a few words about Hurricane Helene. I spoke this morning with our FEMA Administrator, Chris Well, and President Biden and I, of course, will continue to monitor the situation closely. We have mobilized more than 1,500 federal personnel to support those communities that have been impacted. We have food, water, and generators that are ready for deployment. And
why does it look like a fake set? Am I crazy?
We are working to restore power for millions of people who currently are experiencing outages. And I just want to stress, and for the press that is here, to those who are watching.
Sorry, guys. I know we had some money allotted for recovery efforts, but they must go to Israel. Sorry.
So I continue to urge everyone to please continue to follow guidance from your local officials until we get past this moment. So thank you all. And now I'll speak about, in particular, the people who are here today and why we are gathered here together today. So Arizona, I think you all know, and this is why you are here, there are consequential issues at stake in this election. And one is the security of our border. The United States is a sovereign nation, and I believe we have a duty to set rules at our border and to enforce them. And I take that responsibility very seriously. We are also a nation of immigrants. The United States has been enriched by generations of people who have come from every corner of the world to contribute to our country and to become part of the American story. And so we must reform our immigration system to ensure that it works in an orderly way, that it is humane, and that it makes our country stronger. So I've just come from visiting the border and the port of entry in Douglas. I spoke with dedicated agents from Border Patrol and Customs officers who every day see the overflow of commercial traffic through the port. These men and women who work there and at other places along our southern border help keep our nation secure. And they need more resources to do their jobs, which is why we have and are in the process of investing $500 million to modernize and expand the port of entry here in Douglas. And why last December I helped raise the rate of overtime pay for border agents, and also why I strongly supported the comprehensive border security bill. Written last year, as you know, by a bipartisan group of senators, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Congress. That bill would have hired 1,500 more border agents and officers. It would have paid for 100 inspection machines to detect fentanyl that is tens of thousands of Americans every year. It would have allowed us to more quickly and effectively remove those who come here illegally, and it would have increased the number of immigration judges and asylum officers. It was the strongest border security bill we have seen in decades. It was endorsed by the Border Patrol Union, and it should be in effect today, producing results in real time right now for our country. But Donald Trump tanked it. He picked up the phone and called some friends in Congress and said, stop the bill. Because, you see, he prefers to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And the American people deserve a president who cares more about border security than playing political games and their personal political future. And so even though Donald Trump tried to sabotage the border security bill, it is my pledge to you that as President of the United States, I will bring it back up and proudly sign it into law. And let me say, the issue of border security is not a new issue to me. I was Attorney General of a border state for 2 terms. I saw the violence and chaos that transnational organizations cause, and the heartbreak and loss from the spread of their illicit drugs. I walked through tunnels that traffickers used to smuggle contraband into the United States. I've seen tunnels with walls as smooth as the walls of your living room, complete with lighting and air conditioning, making very clear that it is about an enterprise that is making a whole lot of money in the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And my knowledge on how they work comes from the fact that I have prosecuted transnational organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. My team and I broke up a heroin trafficking ring in the Bay Area with ties to Mexican cartels. We took down a gang working with the Sinaloa cartel to traffic methamphetamine into the United States. We seized millions of dollars worth of cocaine from the Guadalajara cartel and broke up a drug trafficking operation, including pill mills and so-called recovery centers that were pushing opioids with deadly results. As Attorney General of California, it was 10 years ago that I brought a bipartisan group of American attorneys general and led that group to travel to Mexico City to meet with Mexican attorneys general to address this issue, and in particular to increase intelligence sharing on gang activity, all of which allowed us to prosecute.
Why you never show Democrat presidential candidates? Is this a meme? What's happening right now?
State of California, analyzing transnational organizations and the threats they pose to public safety and to the economy. So stopping transnational organizations and strengthening our border is not new to me, and it is a long-standing priority of mine. I have done that work, and I will continue to treat it as a priority when I am elected President of the United States. And it is my pledge to you, understanding how solutions get formed, that I will reach across the aisle and I will embrace common sense approaches and new technologies to get the job done. Because I know transnational gangs coming across the border, trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings could care less who somebody voted for in the last election. They could care less. They've got one goal in mind.
Bro.
And it is therefore critically important that anybody who calls themselves a leader
build the wall.
Would work
the wall.
with other
with the wall?
leaders.
I'm rocking with the wall.
For common sense solutions, understanding the pain and the suffering that Americans are experiencing if we don't work together to fix these problems. And look, transnational gangs, one of the things I know about them, they are always innovating. So to disrupt them, we must do the same. And that means, again, working together in real time, grounded on finding common sense approaches, not just about some rhetoric at a rally, but actually doing the work of fixing a problem. And as president, I won't only bring back the border security bill that Donald Trump tanked, I will do more to secure our border. To reduce illegal border crossings, I will take further action to keep the border closed between ports of entry. Those who cross our borders unlawfully will be apprehended and removed and barred from re-entering for 5 years. We will pursue more severe charges against repeat. And if someone does not make an asylum request at a legal point of entry and instead crosses our border unlawfully, they will be barred from receiving asylum.
This is literally 2020 Trump positions.
That many are desperate to migrate to the United States. Our system must be orderly and secure. And that is my goal. And that is my goal. Securing our border also means addressing the flow of fentanyl into our communities. Fentanyl is a scourge on our country. The nature of it as a drug is such that it is highly addictive and it is highly lethal. So much so that using it one time only can be fatal. I have met far too many families, parents, loved ones, who have lost a family member, a child, to fentanyl. And their grief is heartbreaking. And the devastation caused by fentanyl is being felt from rural communities to big cities. It's impacting communities across our country, regardless of where they are geographically, politically, or any other demographic you choose to talk about. It's a scourge in our country, and we have to take it seriously. And as president, I will make it a top priority to disrupt the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. And I know everyone here understands that most of the fentanyl in America comes from 2 cartels based in Mexico. Most often, they are smuggling it through vehicles at legal ports of entry, like the one I visited today.
Wait.
The fact is, border officers don't have enough resources and are only able to search a fraction of the vehicles that pass through their checkpoints. This is unacceptable. They need the resources to do their jobs.
Say the status of the citizenship.
And as we could have done with that border security bill, I will surge support to law enforcement agencies on the front lines, more personnel, more training, and including 100 new inspection systems that can detect fentanyl hidden in vehicles. And we will make sure that our ports of entry, including airports and seaports, have additional state-of-the-art technology to detect fentanyl and the chemical tools used
New Fox
to make
poll has
it.
Trump up 3 in Arizona.
I will
this
also
means she must
double
go
the
more right
resources
to win them
for the
back.
Department of Justice to extradite and prosecute transnational organizations and the cartels. Yes.
I keep repeating that over and over again. Hey, Hey, say who's bringing the drugs
I will
in.
ensure that
Come on,
we
come on, come on.
target the entire
Come on, please. Say who's bringing the drugs in. You're so close to the border entry
We must
thing.
materially and sustainably disrupt the flow of illicit fentanyl coming into our country. My approach takes into account also that the precursor chemicals used to make fentanyl are by and large made in China and then shipped to Mexican cartels and trafficked right here into the United States. Our administration demanded that China crack down on the companies that make those chemicals.
What happened?
And it has started to happen. But they need to do more. And as president, I will hold them to their commitment to significantly reduce the flow of precursor chemicals coming from China. And all of this to say, we must tackle this issue from every angle, because our highest charge must be to protect the lives of our people. It must be to understand the pain and to have the courage to know that solutions are at hand if we focus on fixing a problem instead of running on a problem. And on this issue, writ large, we must ensure that our country remains strong and competitive, which includes fixing our broken immigration system. And let me be clear, I reject the false choice. I reject the false choice that suggests we must either choose between securing our border or creating a system of immigration that is safe, orderly, and humane. We can and we must do both. We must do both. And we need clear legal pathways for people seeking to come into our country. And we must make our current system work better. For example, it can take years for asylum claims to be decided. Well, this is a problem we can solve, including by hiring more asylum officers and expanding processing centers in people's home countries.
We don't want that. We want you to kill
them. And as president, I will work with Congress to create, at long last, a pathway to citizenship.
Why is that not on the bill? Why is that not on the right-wing border bill that was supposed to be bipartisan? Why was that not on the right-wing bill that's supposed to be bipartisan, ass? I think previous Democratic administrations would have put that in the bipartisan border bill, I think.
I also have in mind our dreamers.
She ain't doing none of this shit, chat. She ain't doing none of this. If she was doing any of that, it would be in the bill that she's talking about.
So many of our dreamers.
And I'd be chirping significantly less. I'd still be chirping because I'm like, I'd still be upset at the right-wing border bill funding mechanisms of the border wall. But they didn't even put that in there. They didn't put any of this that she's talking about in there. There's no clear bill that will ever pass Congress. All things considered, there is no clean bill that will be giving amnesty to immigrants and also protecting dreamers that will ever pass Congress.
The same goes for farm workers who ensure that we have food on our tables and who sustain our agricultural industry, and they too have been in legal limbo for years because politicians have refused to come together to fix our broken immigration system. Well, as president, I will put politics aside to fix our immigration system and find solutions to problems which have persisted for far too long. For far too long, we have all known this is not working as it can and as it should. And so, as I said at the beginning, these issues are highly consequential for our nation. And the contrast in this election is clear. It is a choice between common sense solutions and the same old political games. In the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, he did nothing to fix our broken immigration system. He did not solve the shortage of immigration judges. He did not solve the shortage of border agents. He did not create lawful pathways into our nation. He did nothing to address an outdated asylum system and did not work with other governments in our hemisphere to deal with what clearly is also a regional challenge. As overdoses went up during his presidency, he fought to slash funding for the fight against fentanyl.
This part is true.
And what did he do instead? Well, let's talk about that. He separated families. He ripped toddlers out of their mother's arms, put children in cages, and tried to end protections for dreamers. He made the challenges at the border worse. And he is still fanning the flames of fear and division. And let me be clear, that is not the work of a leader. That is not the work of a leader. And that is, in fact, I think we all believe, an abdication of leadership. And so on behalf of all across our nation
we are going to make
the
transnational migrant gangs trans.
We cannot accept
Let me be clear.
Donald
We're going to make them
to lead. We should not
We're going to give them bottom surgery.
Scapegoating instead of solutions. And let's see what's happening. Let's not permit scapegoating instead of solutions, or rhetoric instead of results. As your president, I will protect our nation's sovereignty, secure our border, and work to fix our broken system of immigration. And I will partner with Democrats, Republicans, and independents to do it. Arizona, it is time.